Welcome back to another episode of the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. Help us spread awareness for men's mental health and the gospel of Jesus Christ by ringing the bell and subscribing to the channel. Welcome back to the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Steve, and tonight I am joined by Mr. Mike Morgan from the Resilient Warrior Nation podcast. We're going to talk tonight. We're going to talk about life as podcasters in the men's mental health space. And we're also going to cover Mike's testimony and his career in law enforcement that spanned over 30 years. Hey, while you're watching right now, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button here on YouTube so you can help us spread the message of men's mental health. Mike, welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Steve, thank you very much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. Pleasure's all mine, man. I'm really looking forward to this episode. I love what you're putting out there. And it's just really cool to be able to kind of align with the fellow brother that's trying to spread that message of men's mental health in this world right now.
Right back at you. You're doing the same thing. So
Yeah, man.
The world needs more of this.
Yes, sir. Well, kind of take us back to the beginning, Mike. I want to kind of get into your story and your testimony. Then we're going to circle back and talk about your, your work with your podcast and what you're doing in the mental health space. So what was childhood like for you? Where did you grow up?
Yes, sir. I grew up in North Belmont, New York. It's a suburb of Manhattan, about 45 minutes outside of Manhattan East if you're going by the Long Island Railroad, which we all know and love. South Shore, Long Island. So we're about 20 minutes from the beach. I guess normal childhood. My father was a fireman with the FDNY.
Nice.
For 36 years. My mom was a secretary in the local elementary school district. I have a sister 2 years younger than I. Sports was my thing as a kid. That was my outlet. That was my love. I never really liked school. I did well, but it was not my thing by any stretch of the imagination. So I was sports 24/7 for me. I excelled, fortunately, and that was really my concentration, sports and girls, I guess, growing up.
Okay. What was your favorite sport? What'd you play?
My favorite by far was hockey. I was also a pretty good baseball player. Yeah, I played everything, but hockey was definitely my concentration. I actually played through college. Actually played with John Cooper, the Tampa Bay Lightning head coach. He and I were teammates for a year together. Yeah, he exhausted his 4 years of lacrosse eligibility. Hofstra's a D1 school. And as he was getting his master's, he played a year of ice hockey. We were a club, but we played a few D3 teams. Ice hockey in college is only D3 and D1 is no D2.
Okay.
So it was pretty competitive.
Okay. I played baseball, so I understand that world. Hockey, not so much, but hockey is huge. I live outside of Nashville, and dude, the Nashville Predators are definitely the most popular team in Tennessee. It's a big. Oh man, it's a
more than Titans. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, man. I lived in Atlanta for 10 years, and hockey never caught on that big. It was big, but not that big.
It's huge here, man. And the Titans have had so many bad seasons. I think people are just kind of giving up on them. UT football will trump the Titans, but hockey by far is hockey and soccer, believe it or not, man, here in the South are the big two sports. Yeah, it's wild.
Wow. Soccer surprises me, but I guess you have an influx of immigrants and they all love soccer. So same thing with the Yankees coming to Tennessee and bringing that, hockey love with them.
Yeah. We're trying to get a baseball team here. They keep talking about it, so we'll see.
That'd be good.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. So you went to college. What did you study in college? Criminal justice?
I studied accounting, so I got an accounting degree.
Okay.
Yeah, brother. There was nothing that I had a love for, although looking back, I actually didn't realize it. I should have been in some type of nutrition program.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up, my mom's uncle was a CPA. He had a couple of firms.
Okay.
He did well for himself. And then on my father's side, one of my cousins was a CPA, so he did well. So financially, so these guys doing well. My father always said he was never going to have either of his children take a civil service test. So I never even thought about policing or, any first responder career. Never thought about military, anything like that. And, it was mostly for the money. My father was always so dead set on money being the answer to everything. And I enjoyed it when I was in school, but found out shortly thereafter it was not for me, as you'll see.
Yeah. So how did you end up in law enforcement?
So graduated in May of 91 from Hofstra, started my job with a firm in Manhattan that October. First day I'm commuting into Manhattan on the Long Island Railroad. I was flat as could be. You're supposed to be excited. It's the first day of the rest of your life. You're embarking on this new career, yada, yada, yada. I felt nothing. Could not figure out why. So I go into the firm, meet a bunch of associates and bosses, get introduced around to everyone, and I'm given a task about 11 a.m. So shortly thereafter, I literally wake up like this with my head in my hand, got up. I had met one of the associates who seemed really cool. I walked over his cube. I said, bro, you like this stuff? He's like, fuck no, I hate it. I'm like, there is no way that I'm doing this shit for the next 35 years of my life, man. No one is going to know whether I lived or died other than my close family and friends. And that was it before lunch on my first day of work. I'm like, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Oh man,
and
that's crazy.
in my head, I was already done. So I just went deep introspective, and law enforcement felt like it was a calling for me.
Okay. So what department did you end up at when you left the accounting job?
So initially, I wanted to apply with the FBI. The feds were on a hiring freeze at that point up until probably 97.
Okay.
So, excuse me, as they say, one door closes, another one opens. Shortly thereafter, a buddy of mine had introduced me to his brother. He had worked for Pan Am Airlines in New York. They had gone bankrupt. Delta came in, bought he was a welder, so they bought the whole shop, offered everyone jobs. You just had to move down to Atlanta because that's where they're headquartered. He did. And this was about a year before, so he'd been there about a year. He loved it. He was telling me how young it was, how vibrant. He just bought a 3-bed, 2-bath house, half-acre, built-in pool, like 100,000. There was extensive building going on because the Olympics were going to be in 96.
Oh, that's
and
right,
he just had he had great things to say about it. I said, you know what? I always wanted to get out of New York. I want to see something new. Let me get some police experience, and then I'll apply to the FBI when they start hiring again. So applied this is now 92. I applied in November 92 and was hired in August 93.
Was that a culture shock going from New York City to Atlanta? It had to be. I mean,
you can say that. So I lived in the suburbs. It wasn't really, I didn't live in the city, but obviously I was in the city every day. But you know what's weird about Atlanta is it is such a transient city that it's not, even though it's in the deep South, it doesn't feel like it's in the deep South.
Right.
You know, my accent is not a rarity. I mean, it's strange when you first start hearing people refer to you as Yankee. Like, well, the Civil War was over, a couple hundred years ago, man. It's just very strange. But it was definitely different, and I loved it. It was at the time, it was not as densely populated as it is now. So you had room to breathe. Traffic wasn't nearly as bad as it is now. I loved it, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, a lot of us that grew up in the South and live in the South don't consider Atlanta the South. So
yeah, I'm sure.
But
I'm sure you don't.
That being said, Nashville is slowly turning into Atlanta. So I mean, it's very. I don't know if I'm sure you've been to Nashville working in Atlanta. I mean, it's changed a lot. I mean, Atlanta's probably I think it's 4 hours from me right now. So I mean, I've been there a handful of times, but Nashville has blown up over the last several years. So I'm kind of like your mindset when you're in New York. My goal is to end up where you are now in Florida long term. That's where I want to be. But
good for you.
Yeah, man. I love Florida. I love the beach though. Like I want to be there someday.
Yeah, we were there 2 days ago. It was nuts yesterday waking up to 44 degrees.
Yeah, I believe it, man. I believe it. We
Atypical,
had snow.
Sure.
We had snow here Monday.
Did you?
It was sleeting.
Get out of here. Holy.
High of like 31 on Monday, like 20-mile-an-hour gusts. It was nuts. And then today it's like 65. But
yeah, it's nuts, man. It is.
So
but I'll take it over New York any day of the week.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into your career a little bit with so you were Atlanta PD, is that where you were?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's a huge department, I'm guessing, right?
I mean, I didn't realize it because I'm coming from New York. So NYPD was like, at the time, they probably had 35,000. They've been as high as, I think, low 40s. So I'm always kind of comparing departments to that. Atlanta's max manpower was supposedly 2,500. We never came close to that. I think we were close to like 1,500, maybe 1,700. But that being said, it's still bigger than most departments in the U.S.
Yeah, it is a big department.
Relatively.
Was policing what you expected when you got there and you showed up and go to the academy and all that?
So the first night out of the academy, we finished the academy on a Monday. We graduated after field training, so we didn't graduate. So the next day is the first day of field training. I was working at midnight my first 2 weeks. So I started 11 p.m., 11 p to 7 a. Within the first hour, I was at my first homicide scene.
Wow.
Interesting story. It was a Atlanta fire department captain. He had been suspended because there were allegations made against him messing around with younger girls.
No
so
shit.
I guess that night they were confirmed. He went, picked up a prostitute. She ended up being 16 years old. Decided he wanted to smoke crack after he picked her up. So he goes up to the local dope boy on the corner. This is you talk about a small world story. Unfortunately, in his case, dope boy looks in the car, and who does he see but his 16-year-old cousin? Pulls out his gun, boom, one in the head.
Wow.
Brain matter everywhere in the car.
Dang,
and
dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, bro, literally, I don't even, it was at the latest, it was an hour into my tour. So,
damn.
I'm like, whoa. I'm not naive, and I was expecting a lot of violence, but I'm like, this is pretty quick. So 4 hours later, my partner hits a parking lot, Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Just want to take a quick look on that. And we get a 50-4, which is a shooting with an ambulance around. We go there, Smith to Bass Streets intersection. There's a guy dead, laying flat on his back, eyes wide open, looking up. And I always got this feeling every time I saw a dead body, especially with at homicide scenes, like, man, this dude was alive and living his life 10 minutes ago, and now he's gone forever. So I think he got shot over some type of drug deal gone wrong. But I look to a buddy of mine who's in the academy with, he was getting field trained at the sector next to me. And I'm like, O'Neill, what the fuck do we get ourselves into, man? This is 5 hours in. I'm at 2 homicide scenes already.
Dude.
And it only got wilder. It was
crazy.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, you beat my first day on the street by far.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. I pulled my weapon, but I didn't see any dead bodies. So, but,
really? The first day?
First day, yeah. First day.
Damn.
Yeah, I had to do a use of force report as a trainee with my FTO. Yep.
Wow.
I thought it was
good
cool,
story.
But well, so like we did you ever come down to Franklin, outside of Nashville, Franklin, Tennessee? Have you heard of that?
No,
area?
I've only been maybe I've passed through it, but I've been in Nashville and then bam, right back.
So Franklin is just south of Nashville off I-65. It's a very kind of upper class, wealthy area. So the crime rate here is way different than Nashville. And they do have housing projects. So anyways, we're rolling through one of the housing projects, and I see these two guys walking on the street, and one of them passes a 1911 over to a kid who's probably like 12. And I kind of tapped my partner, and we drove right by him. And I said, hey man, that dude just passed a 1911. And he's like, oh shit. Cause it's a Sunday at like 2:00, dude. Like nobody's wanting to do any work. So he curbs the car, goes off. Of course, the kid takes off, and I go, around the housing project, and James goes after this dude. And, anyways, we end up having this kid at 12 drawn down at gunpoint in the broad daylight in Franklin, Tennessee, and the entire neighborhood swarms on us.
Oh yeah.
And I'll let the audience fill in the blank. They looked a little different than me and James, so they were pissed, dude. And we had
Did you hit a white devil once or twice, maybe?
yeah. So they're screaming at us, and we're on the radio like, hey, we got one at gunpoint. The whole neighborhood's riding, and there's like 6 of us working on the shift. So they all showed up, and long story short, it was an airsoft gun. And he had tossed it over a fence. They're actually building a new police station where this happened. But as we're going to juvie with this kid, they're jumping on the car, and my FTO, who I'm still friends with today, was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? This is the first day." And I was like, "Hey, I saw a gun, man. Like, what else am I supposed to do?"
Hell yeah.
My buddies that went to the academy, they're all laughing like, "Oh, Morris pulled his gun on the first day." I was like, "Hell yeah, I did." I was like,
hey,
I didn't sign up to write tickets, man. I'm ready to kick in some doors. But
most recruits are half asleep when they first get out of the academy. So kudos to you,
dude. It was wild. It was wild going from the military to law enforcement. I was shocked at just the caliber of people that went into that profession compared to what my expectations were. A lot of guys didn't want to get in fights. They didn't want to go in certain areas, and I never understood that. That's why I became a cop, dude. I wanted to kick some ass. Like,
exactly, man. You want action?
But yeah.
Jeez,
But I didn't see. It took me a while to see any dead bodies. I didn't see any the first day. But it's kind of a sleepy little town. It's a lot bigger now just because all the growth from New York and California, a lot of Texans here. So it's grown a lot. But that was back in like 2009, I think. So it was a while ago. But
okay.
Yeah, man. So I was going to ask you, Mike, you were talking about your first day on the job, and you've already seen, 2 gruesome scenes like this at the time. And I'm probably going to answer my own question. Did your department have any kind of people in place to do like a debrief with you or talk to you about what you saw or any of that stuff?
No, we had no psych services back then. I don't think at all. Potentially was in there, but if they were, there was something that no one ever spoke about.
Right.
Literally, I've never got a hint of anyone ever referring to, to going there or needing to go
Yeah.
there or anything about it.
Okay. So I'm guessing the mentality then, like it has been for years, was just go to the next call, do your job, and yeah, compartmentalize it.
Hell yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compartmentalize, bury. It really should be the
Yeah.
vernacular that we use. But yeah, you just you push it down and just go on to the next one, man.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as like mental health.
Yeah.
And talking about things and processing things at that point.
Right. Right. So as you progressed along in your law enforcement career, did you enjoy your job, or were you was it kind of like your other job in accounting? Like, man, this isn't what I thought it was, and I want to do something different.
I guess periodically it ebbed and flowed. I mean, for the most part, I loved it. There were times where you hate it. I mean, Atlanta was
Hmm.
so crazy that you
Yeah.
tend to get burnt out.
Right.
So, I probably, I don't know, hit that almost 5 year mark. I was definitely a little burnt. You're handling 20, 30 calls every single day. It
Yeah.
gets old.
Yeah.
I eventually went to the motorcycle squad, in my 5th year. So, it changed my perspective again, fell in love with the job again.
Hmm.
But yeah, to answer your question, I mean, it could be a very, very obviously stressful job. The things you're seeing are not positive on a daily basis. So,
Hmm.
it gets to you periodically, but on the whole, yeah, I loved it.
Great. Great. What did your dad think about you doing that job?
Uh, he did not, first of all, we never had a relationship, really any kind of relationship. So,
Okay. Okay.
um, nothing really. And when I first told my family that I was going to change from the accounting field to go into the policing career, they were not happy, which is like the
Mm.
understatement of the year. In fact, when I left to go to Atlanta, my mom said that I was leaving them. And I
Wow.
explained to her I was trying to live my life. It's my life. I need to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was essentially the black sheep of the family. My father was not happy. When graduation was for the academy was coming up, I called them up and asked them if they were coming down. My mom's like, "We'll see." Shocked me. A couple of days later, she calls me up. She's like, "No, we're not going to be able to make it." I'm like, "Really?"
Wow.
She's all
Man.
right. And I kind of saw like, man, I'm going to get no support from my family on this one.
Wow.
I remember I come back to New York on a visit, and he picked me up from the airport one day. And my dad were driving home. I'm like, "When are you guys going to come to Atlanta?" It's probably 4 years in. He's like, "What the hell did I want to go to Atlanta for?" I'm like, "Visit your
Mm.
son." And he just kind of looked at me. So I was like,
Wow.
"All right." It was not a good relationship. He was verbally abusive throughout my life. It wasn't even like he was trying to, raise a kid in a very disciplined manner. And then,
Hmm.
your relationship kind of evolves into more of a friendship as you get older. It
Yeah.
always stayed like that. It was hypercritical my whole life.
Mm. I'm sorry to hear that, man. There's so many guys that I've met and know that have done first responder, joined the military, that just have these deep father wounds, man. It's like we're trying to prove our worth because we didn't get that validation from our own fathers. And that's just, I'm sorry you had to go through that, man. That's really sad.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. I mean, obviously I'm not looking for sympathy at all. I appreciate
I know you're not. I know
your
you're
well,
not.
yeah, I know that. But to your what you were just saying, I did not realize the amount of people that have had bad relationships with their fathers like me.
Yeah.
It was nothing I ever discussed with, in 30 years, I had no idea. And then when I
Hmm.
kind of entered this healing space, um, I think I saw, no, it was before that, but In Waves of War was a great documentary that came
Dude,
out
it's
on
awesome. I watched it
Netflix.
this weekend. It's
Uh,
amazing.
it really
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know about it, it's about the story of three SEALs who came back from war, broken men, DJ Shipley, Marcus Capone,
Hmm.
Matty Roberts, and their subsequent healing journeys with Ibogaine. But to a man, all of them acknowledge bad relationships with their fathers. And in
Hmm.
talking now and doing my podcast and speaking to guys, it is almost to a man that we've not had good relationships with our dads, for the
Hmm.
men in these careers. Every now and then you get an outlier who had a great relationship with their pops, but typically it's not. And yeah, I think we join these for several reasons. One's maybe we don't like bullies. We got bullied from them and we want to
Hmm.
stop that.
Yep.
Um, you know, again, to your point, you're looking for validation from your father. You never got it.
Hmm.
And it's something that you really need to give credence to because you need to heal from it at some point. You've been carrying
Yeah.
this around with you the entirety of your life. And during your formative years, you didn't get what you think you needed in some
Hmm.
way, shape, or form. So you've been carrying this around forever. You need to
Yeah.
heal at some point. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how fierce you become. It's still an open wound until you close it.
We all need it. I mean, and it's
Yeah.
wild that you mentioned that documentary, the scene where DJ Shipley's talking about mowing the grass and he hits a tree root and his dad comes at him in a dead sprint and just picks up the mower and throws it. Man, I just went back into my childhood with that. I was like, oh, that was like, my dad was military, and I don't want to badmouth him on here, but a lot of anger, a lot of just, and it just, I mean, I just felt it in my chest. I was like, in that moment, I was like, damn, dude, like it's wild, dude. It's wild.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, please.
No, I was just going to say it is crazy how many of us that have gone into the first responder role and military that have had these deep-seated father wounds. And I know for me as a parent now, I try to be self-aware enough to not be that guy and to treat my son and my daughter differently. You still have to parent them, but in a way that's kind, loving, and gentle, and almost like a positive correction. Not saying you still can't get in their ass when you need to, but let them know that, hey, I love them and there's nothing they can do to make me not love them. And I'm proud of them. That's a big one. I think a lot of men struggle with, myself included, like as kids, man. I mean, you know, we're like high performers. Like nothing's ever good enough because we didn't get that encouragement or that support or that love, whatever we needed as kids. So we go find these careers where we want to be different. We want to prove to the world that we're some badass. And, I was going to ask you about this because I know I suffered with this for years, was imposter syndrome. You know, did you ever feel that while you were in law enforcement? Like you were maybe like playing a dual role, maybe like the real version of yourself versus the version people saw in the rest of the world?
Be honest with you, I never had that during my career. I have that now as I'm
Really?
kind of entering this, you know, podcasting space, finishing up writing the books. I'm trying to get into public speaking space.
Nice.
So it's, I don't want to say it's unhealthy, but it comes up a lot. You know, I think it's definitely, in some respects, it could be advantageous because I think it makes you work a little harder. But, you know, it can also be very detrimental if you let it control you. You know, now I'm at the point where I know what's coming on. When I get those intrusive thoughts, I'm able to kind of get them out of my head fairly quickly by thinking about other positive things. But, you know, it's a never ending battle. And I talk to guys all the time about that. And the highest level guys that you would think do not suffer from that, suffer from that. I don't care what level people are at. I mean, I'm constantly asking guys, and you are talking about super, super, super high achievers, and they deal with it on a daily basis.
One thing though that stands out about me, even when we first started talking online, you're very humble. And you know, I'm a cop. I was a cop, so I'm going to say this. I haven't met a lot of humble cops, man. Like you just have like this, not to get like, you know, weird, but you just have this you're easy to talk to and you're very humble. And I credit that to probably your mental health and we'll get into all that, but like, you know, working on yourself. But I think it's a breath of fresh air, man. Cause I think some guys get into these lines of work and they're unapproachable. They're mad at the world. They're pissed off. And I used to be that guy, but I think give yourself, you know, I'm going to give you the credit and give yourself the credit, man. You're a good dude. I could just tell from talking to you and kind of getting to know you here in the last few weeks. And I appreciate what you're doing, man. I really do.
Thank you, brother. I mean, it truly means a lot. Yeah, I mean, I've always tried to carry myself throughout my life with humility. I can't stand arrogance. And if, you know, guys are always, I don't want to say always, but when guys peacock, I was always told, and I always had the mindset that if you are whatever, people are going to see it. You don't have to tell them.
Yeah.
You know, I remember my lieutenant and I having a talk one time in Atlanta, and we had a SWAT guy who cut his sleeves and then had them tapered so it was super tight. And he's like, Morgs, you see that? He's like, if you have arms, you don't need to do that. Everyone knows. He's like, it's only when you don't have them do you have to do that. He's like, you know, live by those words. I'm like, LT, you couldn't be more right, man. Just
That's awesome.
There's no need to show. Just be. And if you are that, people are going to see it.
So, Mike, every man faces battles. Some are seen and some are unseen. What would you say is the one that defines your journey the most? Do you have one that kind of sticks out in your mind?
One battle?
Yeah, or like what was your turning point? Like what made you enter a space where you started to take care of your mental well-being? Was there like kind of a turning point?
Yeah. I could tell you the exact moment that happened. So I was injured on duty. So I did a little over 10 years in the Atlanta Police Department, and then I transferred back to New York to the Suffolk County Police Department.
Okay.
I shouldn't say transferred. It's not a lateral. I got hired by Suffolk County Police Department in '03. So I did my last 19 there, and then I got hurt on duty September of 2020. I had 2 subsequent back surgeries and was medically retired 2 years later, October of 22, and then had to go 1 more year for a workers' comp case. So that's 3 years of no work, no volunteering, no gym, building in my house, but nothing. I was a man without a purpose. So idle hands are the devil's work, man. I just had time to think. And I started getting like these feelings of depression and rage, anger, just was generally unhappy, and I could not figure out what was going on. I'm pretty self-aware. I knew what was happening. I just didn't know why it was happening. And let's see, spring of 2023, I sat down and watched a podcast episode of the Sean Ryan Show. He was interviewing a man named Eddie Penny, former Navy SEAL Team 6 guy. And Eddie was recounting the story of the Extortion 17 incident in which a Chinook was shot down in Afghanistan, killing all 38 aboard, included 17 SEALs. I was the largest loss of community in one event ever. Included in the dead was Jason Workman, Eddie's best friend. And Eddie was telling the story about escorting Jason's body back first to his hometown in Utah and then to his final resting place in Arlington National Cemetery. So as Eddie was telling the story, he was upset, rightly so. And I simultaneously began thinking about a call that I had 5 years before, about a 2-year-old found floating in a pool, a beautiful little girl named Dana Sikorsky. And I had buried that call. That was the one call, literally in my 30-year career. I started crying at the call. And I was fucking pussy, you can't cry. I said to myself, and I just stopped. And it would have been the best thing I could have done for myself at the time, but hey, men don't cry.
Yeah.
So as I thought about that call, I burst out crying, man. There's no other way to say it. I had no idea. Literally, I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Crying like a baby, had no idea what was happening. Shortly thereafter, I kind of put 2 and 2 together, and I'm like, man, the feelings I've been feeling at that point, it's probably like a year and a half or something. I put it together, and I was like, I think I have some sort of PTSD. I'm like, I always mistakenly believed that it was only caused by seeing your brother or sister next to you get killed. But mine was caused by being inside the most devastatingly intimate moments of other people's lives over and over and over. So I knew I needed help. I didn't want to be this ornery dude that hated everyone and everything for the next, 40 years of my life. So I started trying to figure out what I could do to get help. I didn't think traditional counseling was going to do it for me. I couldn't see myself talking to some guy or girl sitting behind a desk telling them what I'd done and seen, and they were going to be able to help me. So prior to that episode of Sean Ryan Show and after, I had watched his and other podcasts of mostly special force operators speaking about coming back from war broken men and self-professed broken men, and then their subsequent healing journeys with psychedelics. So I really started paying attention, started researching, um, decided ayahuasca was calling me. I didn't think that treatment could be accessed in the US. So my wife said she wanted to do it too. We were going to plan a trip to Peru. And then we moved down to Florida in late 2023. During the course of that move, my wife was doing some research and found a place called Soul Quest Ayahuasca Church in Orlando, Florida. Realized that we could access that treatment here. And we went that March 1st of 2024 for a 3-ceremony weekend and literally changed my life.
Can you kind of get into that? Like, how did that look? Like, I did watch the documentary you mentioned earlier. Was that like a similar process, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, similar and dissimilar, I guess. So we got to the facility, probably early afternoon on Friday. We were showing around. Um, it's had kind of a hippie vibe. So I look at my wife and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here, man? This is not for me. These aren't my people.
Yeah.
And I was almost ready to turn around, to be honest with you. So we had like an orientation at 4:00. They tell us what to expect, the etiquette, just kind of everything about the process. So shortly thereafter, I think we went back to the ceremonial space at like 6:30, and they served the first hape, which is a very finely ground up tobacco used in ceremonies, and it's actually blown up your nostrils. It is not a pretty process. But, they ask if anyone wants to do it, and I'm like, "You know what? I'm here. Let me just try everything." So I did it. Um, it's some nasty stuff, but I've I've journeyed with ayahuasca 11 times. When I haven't done it, I've not gone super
Wow.
deep. When I have, I've gone super deep, so I always do it now. And, after that, we we all gathered. We were all sitting in kind of a semicircle in, like, alpine chairs. There was a big fire pit as, like, the focal point in the center, and, we were served ayahuasca, which is made up of 2 vines that you find in the Amazon. And the incredible
Okay.
part is both of these have to be served together because one is DMT, and that's what gives you the psychedelic effects. The other one's an MEO inhibitor, and if that was
Okay.
not given, essentially would make the DMT inert. So the fact that whenever thousands of years ago someone knew to put these two together, there's 60,000 vines in the Amazon, or
Wow.
plants in the Amazon. Someone knew to put these two together. You can't tell me that there was not like a higher power involved in this first, being used. So they essentially just boil it down and filter out the impurities, and it's served. It essentially looks like a shot glass,
Hmm.
and they bless it. You shoot it down. Now the space is very sacred. The facilitators are kind of dressed up. There's prayers done. There's songs that they sing. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a very, very sacred ceremony, and it should always be honored as such.
Mhm.
You want to go there with intentions. It's not something that you're going to feel any euphoria over. So if anyone thinks
Okay.
you're going to go there and get high, it is the
Mhm.
furthest thing from that. People going through profound pain and profound healing. So it's not enjoyable a lot of times. I mean, you're processing some deep, deep stuff.
Mhm.
And about 40 minutes after I took it, I saw the ground start moving. The colors
Wow.
in the fire began to be like the most dynamic, beautiful colors I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Started seeing geometric patterns kind of in the sky. And shortly thereafter, my journey was almost as though I was looking at a big screen TV. And most people sense a female presence. They call her mother, a mother ayahuasca. And I did as well. She was kind of in the left hand um, corner of my screen. And I remember when it started, I just had my arms wide open and I was crying. I'm like, I need help. Please help me with this anger and this rage, this hatred. I don't need it. I don't want it. And I just started like feeling lighter. Everything I asked for, it was almost like it was getting granted one after the other. Um, she was going to bring my father in my journey. She was actually bringing him
Wow.
to me, and it was crazy because there's music playing in the ceremonial space, but it's not loud. And in my journey, it was building. It was getting louder and louder and louder. And finally, it built to this crescendo and just stopped. In reality, it was not doing any of that. It was still playing at the same volume. Um, and then all of a sudden, I felt like I was in front of the brightest marquee in Vegas. Like it was just
Hmm.
brilliantly lit. Meanwhile, there's only like these little light bulbs strung around the trees. There's barely any light other than fire. So it was not that. And bam, music stopped. I'm waiting for my dad. Finally realized he's not going to show. Threw my hands up in the air. I was like, fucking coward. I knew he wouldn't show. He couldn't talk about emotion. But all of a sudden, like the 50, I think it was 55 at the time, 55 years of everything between he and I was like gone. Like I was thinking about it, different things with he and I, just memories are kind of popping up, but there was no emotional charge with them. Like right then and there it was gone. Like where I used to have anger or hatred or whatever it was, now it was just a memory itself. And then I'm watching the volunteers walk around and they're just for us. Anything we need, they're there for. They call holding space. And I remember looking at them and I'm like, I want to be more like these people. I want to be more loving, more sympathetic, more empathetic. And, I always equated strength with like physical stature, physical strength, fighting ability, you know, all these things. And maybe, yeah, they're necessary in a profession, but I was looking at them. I'm like, that's strength. I'm like, I want that. I want to be a better man. And it was just literally like everything was just, I felt like it was getting granted left and right. Um, there's so many things. It's hard to remember sometimes what they are, what happened, but I'm trying to think what else. Oh man, there was so many things that she just granted me. Yeah, I'll remember more. But as I was coming out of my first journey, two former friends and coworkers had committed suicide in my Suffolk County PD job 3 weeks before that. A week apart, the sergeant killed himself in a precinct locker room, and I never had any intention whatsoever of being in the space I am now. The universe told me we were having a talk. I know it sounds weird if you never journey, but the universe and I were speaking just like you and I. And the universe said, "I healed you." Now I'm not this healed individual. It's not linear. I go through stuff every day like everyone else, but
Mhm.
it was telling me essentially, I've healed you from your PTSD. Your life's pursuit is to go forth and help other vets and first responders heal theirs. And I literally said, okay, out loud. I wasn't sure how I was going to implement it, but I accepted the challenge and knew that my life had changed instantaneously.
Well, I'm sorry about your your former coworkers, man. I hate to hear stories like that. And I'm
Thank you.
very happy that you were able to find that peace. And I wanted to ask you, Mike, were you able to forgive your dad for all of that kind of childhood trauma, or however you want to put it, that you experienced growing up? And then obviously as a police officer, when he didn't come to your graduation, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest moments in your career. And
Yeah, it definitely hurt me. Yeah, I guess for the most part, I've forgiven him. I mean, periodically things will pop up, and
mhm,
still angers me. Um, Again, like I said, if he had done all these things when I was a child, just to make me tough or discipline or whatever, then yeah, I could see it. If
mhm,
he had evolved that relationship into a relationship, but he never did. It just wasn't capable. And what I get angry at was that he never let himself be vulnerable enough to have a relationship with his own son. It's so
mhm,
sad to me that he just forwent a relationship with his one son because he thought he was going to be a weak man if he just spoke to me. And
yeah,
that's the greatest gift that this medicine has given me, is that I now have the ability to be vulnerable, because I was never that. But
mhm,
now I literally could talk about my deepest feelings. Um, I never feel weakness when I'm doing so. I did a Facebook Live that Tuesday after that weekend that we went to Soul Quest, and I just kind of told people what had been going on with me for the past year, what had just happened over the weekend, because I knew there were other guys struggling. There had to be. And
mhm,
I got 4 calls the next day, 3 from buddies of mine, former coworkers, one who had a gun in his mouth in a not too distant past, which blew me away. There was this particular guy. We hear it all the time. You never would have thought it was him, but
mhm,
never would have thought it was him. And then a family friend that had been going through it, female, um, and helped all 4. And I remember going back in the house. Well, first of all, when I made that post on Tuesday night, I went in the house and I told my wife, I'm like, I cried. And I would have been so embarrassed. First of all, I would never have been able to cry prior to that. And then if had I would have been so embarrassed about doing so. But I was so proud that I cried. I was able to. And again, I got those 4 calls. I'm like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be.
yeah,
And knew it.
amen to that. Well, and you said it earlier, and I know you were speaking from your career as a cop. Men don't cry, and we've all been told that. I'm a little bit younger than you, but I heard that growing up. And for the guys listening right now, I mean, it takes real strength to be vulnerable, and it also I want to put this out here. It also takes courage to ask for help. You're not strong if you stay silent and just eat everything, and then
Yeah.
what that usually turns into is self-sabotage, because it's got
Yeah.
to go somewhere. So guys, you're a stronger individual if you can ask for help. So if you're out there listening right now, I mean, just listening to your story, Mike, on going through that healing journey, I mean, guys, it's important. I mean, love yourself enough to ask for help. And I know that takes courage, because it's not easy, especially when you're carrying anger and hatred, and you don't feel like you're worthy. But just know that your life has meaning and it has purpose, and it's worth it. Ask for help. And
Yeah.
it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, especially to the guys who are watching us right now. So you hear my story and you're like, that's weakness. So you're going to tell
Mhm.
me your strength is that you're going to internalize everything you feel. You're going to sabotage your relationship with your family, because that's who you're hurting the most every day of your life, because they're the closest to you. They have the most contact with you. Probably sabotaging, relationships with coworkers, like sabotaging everything in your life, essentially.
Yeah.
So that is strength. You got to tell me that's a yes? I don't believe so.
No. And I'm a testament to that. I mean, I was the guy that stayed quiet, and I drank to process all that shit. And I sabotaged a career, 2 careers, and 2 marriages because of it, because I was too weak to go ask for help. I thought, oh, I'm strong. I'm not a pussy. I'm going to do this like a real man. And no, I was totally wrong. So, guys listening, you can pretend to be strong, but until you go ask for help and get vulnerable and work on yourself, that makes you a real man, because this shit ain't easy. I mean,
No,
every day you're putting work in. You have to. I mean, you just have to do it, but it's worth it. I mean, it is totally worth it. I mean, I don't
100%.
think nobody, dude, would come up to you on the street and say, say you're weak. I mean, just by the looks of you alone in your career. I mean, so anybody that thinks you're weak, they're fooling themselves, man, because you're obviously a badass. So, I mean,
What's funny though, Steve? Like, so far, people that have told me this, it's up to 6. People say, I looked at you and thought you'd be fine. So don't equate physical stature or someone's physical
yeah,
conditioning with his mental conditioning, because my physical's got nothing, or anyone's has got nothing to do with what they look like. You think this
Right.
is, listen, I went to GPRS group training last year, and DJ Shipley and I got
Nice.
in a deep conversation. DJ, who's a 183 in Waves and War. And, we were both honest, as honest as could be about what we had been going through. And
Mhm.
he's one of the most fierce warriors in the world.
Yep.
And he didn't feel anything. I was like, listen, man, we callous up. We put these uniforms on, but underneath, and first and foremost, we're human beings. But we
Mhm.
callous up so much not to absorb the pain that we see that we end up feeling nothing. You can't selectively just callous up and, not feel the shitty parts, but you're able to absorb pain in the beautiful parts. No, we feel nothing. And at that point, what the fuck? Then you're just existing. You're not living a
Yeah.
life. Like this
Yeah.
beautiful life is just bypassing you.
Mhm.
He's talking about not having good relationships with his children, with his daughters and his wife. And in fact, he said in Waves of War, when he was talking about that, he said that lawnmower incident, his father came out like he was about to kill him. It was so funny because I had a lawnmower incident when I was a kid. It was wet. I was mowing a neighbor's lawn and the engine blew. My father was about to kill me, just like his. But in that movie, DJ said all of a sudden he looked and he was doing the same thing to his kids. He was being his
Mhm.
father exactly the way his father fathered him. And that like scared the shit out of him.
Yeah.
So, be honest with yourselves,
Yeah.
guys. You guys doing the same thing that was done to you?
Yeah. It's not a it's like that generational curse. We just pass it down. And so you
Yep.
got to have the courage to break that and, step forward and be a leader and say, okay, I don't want my kids to grow up with what I did and be different. And it, like I said earlier, man, it takes courage, but guys like you and me out here trying to, speak about the benefits of mental health and what it's done for us. I mean, I think that's really important, and there needs to be more awareness for it, especially within the veteran and the first responder communities.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, man.
Just to go back real quick, like you guys don't think that you're speaking to your kids, calling them fucking assholes or telling them they're fucking stupid or what the fuck is wrong
Hmm.
with you. If you don't think that stays with them in the entirety of their lives, then you are lying to yourself. I
Hmm.
remember being a young kid, 8 years old, and my father just screaming at me. And in my head, I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah.
And, that feeling stayed with me a lot of my life. I'd rather take the physical than the mental any day of the week. So, I hope you guys who are fathering like that wake up and change because your kids will never forget those verbal assaults. And that's what
Hmm.
it is.
Words are weapons, and you can't take them back. So, I mean, you
Yep.
gotta think about that. And I mean, but you and I both, there's things we heard growing up. We'll probably carry those until we're dead. We can
Oh, no doubt.
process it. But still, it's still there. I mean, it's still a part of our makeup. And
Yep.
that's really good. That's good advice, man. I wanted to ask you earlier, and I want to kind of circle back. You experienced that PTSD, and you referenced the story with the little girl that was in the pool. I know a lot of cops, a lot of first responders that have just dealt with death on so much of a regular basis. Have you worked with any organizations or seen kind of the current state of that profession? Or is there more resources available? I know there is online, but like inside of a department, to where if you go to a call like that, you're able to kind of get pulled off shift and go talk to somebody and kind of debrief with a counselor.
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of guys now, guys and girls, there seems to be obviously things are evolving. We move at a glacially basis in government, but most departments now offer peer support groups, which, to me, is one of the best things you could offer guys because it is, protected by law. It's essentially HIPAA protected, just like you're
Hmm.
speaking to a doctor. So you can call up and you're speaking to, um, you know, guys on your level. You're not speaking to bosses, or even if someone's got a rank, you're not speaking to someone in terms of him being a boss at that point. Things are not getting brought back to the department and spoken about. You're not getting your guns and your badge pulled, like typically happens in most psych services of police departments. So yeah, things are definitely evolving. Stigma is getting lifted because guys like us are speaking about it, but it's going to take a generation or two
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
we really start seeing big changes.
Yeah, definitely. I was just curious. I still have some buddies that are still working as police officers, and I know the department here, they've got some better resources available for officers, and they're not expected just to stay on shift and go to the next call and just, push it aside and keep going. I was just curious, from your experience, if you were aware of how other ones are operating.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a change where treatment readily accessible. I don't even want to call it treatment, just resources are readily available for these guys and girls to use. where they weren't in years prior. But, some departments, listen, are still behind. These command staff, someone on command staff don't think it's necessary. I don't understand how. I mean, you're investing in your people. They should be job one, even if you look at them as just a number. Don't you
Yeah.
still want that number on the board and that
Yeah,
number
totally.
functioning well? And then think
Totally.
about it deeper, even if you don't care about them. If they're doing things on jobs that are going to bring, allegations of whatever it is, abuse or um, whatever, some type of mistreatment. Now you're looking at lawsuits. Now you're looking at money you're paying out. So
Mhm.
I don't understand how you could not, as hire staff, look at these things as investments in your people. And again, even if you don't care about them, it's a smarter business decision
Yeah,
to invest in
definitely.
them. You
Definitely.
get a return on your investment, ROI.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Well, let's take it another direction real quick. So I wanted to ask you, man, um, as far as faith, has faith played a role in your mental health and part of your healing journey?
Good question, Steve. I was raised Roman Catholic. I got kind of turned off to organized religion, I guess in the '90s with the all the scandals rocking the church and all the priests abusing the children. Um, so I am spiritual. I guess I have my own relationship with God.
Mhm.
Um, I believe there's a God. I believe there's a higher power that's responsible for all this. Um, I think there is so much more going on around us that we have no idea about. That's another thing that these experiences have brought me. Um, I'm definitely a lot more open minded. I think I have a higher consciousness now. I don't know. Organized religion, though, I still, in many respects, I think it's a way to control people. So I can't really say I subscribe to it, but I
Mhm.
definitely have my relationship with God.
Okay. Yeah, and I get your point about organized religion, and I think there's a difference in Christianity and religion, because
Yeah,
religion can be used as a tool versus Christianity as a personal relationship with Jesus Christ versus a church or an organization. So I understand there's a lot of us men, not only that carry father wounds, but have church hurt. That's a term that I like to use, because if you're brought up in a church and you're kind of held to this standard, you can't go below that standard or you're not worthy of heaven. And I know a lot of men in particular in my life have faced that. So I was just curious, kind of how your faith was, because this is what I'm going to ask you. So I have a Bible app I use every day, and they do like a verse, and I do like a morning routine. And so today I'm going to read this real quick. The verse of the day is First Thessalonians chapter 5:11, and it's so encourage each other and help each other grow stronger in faith, just as you're already doing. And to me, man, that kind of jumps out at the core of what we're trying to do here with spreading awareness for mental health. We're helping each other. You mentioned you believe in God, you believe in a higher power. I believe in God. So it's kind of it all comes together at the end of the day. And I think you've got to have a clear visual on something outside of yourself. You can't just focus on yourself and be prideful and say, I can do this. You've got to be able to say, okay, I cannot control everything. And if you're going to really work on yourself, grow and evolve as a man, you have to be humble enough to say, I need help. I can't do everything on my own. We're not created to be by ourselves. And I just
yeah.
thought that scripture jumped out at me. I was like, man, that's really cool that we're having this conversation tonight, and it really applies to the journey that we're doing.
And
All right, man.
511
So
too. It's the
yeah,
police line of clothing too.
yeah.
First thing that
You're
struck
right.
me.
Yeah, you're right. That's funny. I didn't even catch that. That's hilarious. I remember when that stuff first came out.
Oh yeah.
So tell us about your podcast, man. What how is that looking for you right now? Like, what have you got in the works as far as your podcast? And you mentioned wanting to do some public speaking engagements earlier. Can you kind of fill the listeners in on your podcast?
Absolutely. So again, after that first ayahuasca ceremony was coming to an end, the universe told me that was my life's purpose. Said okay, wasn't sure how I was going to implement it. So after that, that was in early March. Really started thinking about things I can do and how I could get involved. I had been watching a guy named Taylor Kavanaugh. He's a former Navy SEAL and French Foreign Legionnaire since he started dropping videos on YouTube in probably the spring of 23. And I knew that I wanted to hire someone to work with, like a mindset coach, so to speak.
Hmm.
Taylor's got one of the most powerful stories I've ever heard. He'll admit it through his own volition. He screwed up and lost his trident, doing dumb shit, drunk like most of us do, but did it one too many times, lost his trident, and found himself in his car with a sawed-off shotgun ready to kill himself. And after 3 days, he woke up and said, "Stop being a pussy," sold everything, moved to France, went to France, knocked on the front door of the French Foreign Legion, and became a legionnaire for 5 years. Didn't know anyone, didn't know the language, and did what he had to do to get his mind right. I'm like, this is the guy I need to work with. So hit him up. We had a phone call, told him what I was about, what I wanted to do. He's like, I'm in, brother.
Nice.
So we started coming up with a plan. It was literally just started off with getting on Instagram and making reels, talking about my experience. I had like 160 followers. I didn't really use Insta. It was just, friends.
Mm-hmm.
And, my message, I guess, is being well received. I think I'm like over 17,000 now. Not that it means much, but I think that people see that I'm genuine and authentic,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they kind of follow, what I'm saying. So once I started doing that, I realized that I wanted to do exactly for other people what Sean Ryan did for me. I wanted to bring on ordinary people who've done extraordinary things in their lives. I wanted to show them at their highest. I want to show them at their absolute lowest, in the hopes that men and women who are going through it can identify with them, um, and raise their hand if they need help. I wanted to give them hope and inspiration to see that they can heal. Look what these guys and girls have been through. They're nothing different than you. Me either. We're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started last year. It's called the Resilient Warrior Nation. Taylor was my first guest. I've been humbled, absolutely humbled at the caliber of people that I've been able to bring on. I don't even know how many former SEALs I've had, fighter pilots, cops, firemen, clinicians. I mean, it just runs the gamut. And, I want to bring as much knowledge to people as I can. And in addition to educating them, my biggest thing is I want to give them hope, because as long as you have hope, you're going to live for the next day. I don't ever want them making that permanent decision to what is a temporary problem.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've just been blown away. I actually just booked my first appearance, and I'll be doing Foxtrot. Holy shit, I'm having a brain problem. Zebra
Zero
Foxtrot.
Foxtrot. Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm a little tired today. Yeah, Zero Foxtrot. So I'm going out. They're going to fly me out to Austin, Texas next week.
It's incredible. That's
next
awesome.
month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm blown away, honestly, that anyone wants to hear my story. Like, anytime you contact me, anyone contacts me, I'm like, I would love to.
Yeah.
It's so humbling that people want to hear anything I have to say. Like, and I don't mean this from a low self-esteem point, but I'm like, who the fuck am I?
Wow.
Finishing writing up a book. I want to get into public speaking. And, we were talking about imposter syndrome. I have it all the time. But, I tell myself, listen, I'm not trying to be anyone other than my exact authentic self. I'm not trying to tell anyone else's story other than my exact story, in the hopes that it can help others. Exactly what Eddie Penny did for me.
Yeah.
And it's all, not that I compare myself to him in any way, shape, or form, but that's what I'm trying to do, message-wise.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to hear you share that, and I'm looking forward. I'm going to have Taylor on my show here at the end of the month, and I actually have seen him on podcasts and heard his story, and I'm looking forward to just getting to meet him and for him to come on here and talk with him. I want to bring up Eddie Penny real quick, because
Sure.
Eddie Penny really impacted me as well, and I want to share this with the listeners. A lot of people listen to these, big level podcasts with veterans to hear the war stories and how, SF selection is, or buds, or, Ranger School. But when Eddie Penny was on the Sean Ryan show, he really talked about his journey to Christ. And he mentioned a book called Bondage Breaker by Neil Anderson that is all about spiritual warfare. And man, I went and I bought that book. I listened to him on that podcast. I watched the whole thing and I went and bought that book, and it changed my whole perception on Christ, the devil, spiritual warfare. I mean, it was a powerful book, which led me to go through a counseling session. It was almost 5 hours long, man. Like, I went through my whole life and had to write out everything I'd ever been through, all the traumatic experiences as a kid. I mean, just a whole list of stuff, dude. And that really kind of was probably the pinnacle of my mental health journey, because I was able to write out my whole life and just go through everything. And I'm convinced if I hadn't watched that episode, I probably never would have found that book. I never, and the author is pretty well known in the Christian book world, but I mean, it's amazing what someone on a podcast sharing a testimony can do for someone else. Look, Eddie Penny inspired you. He inspired me. So you don't have to be some big stud, badass. You can be a normal dude, but if you have the courage to share your testimony with other people, do it. You're going to help
Yep.
somebody, regardless whether you know it or not. You're going to help somebody. And
exactly. Every time before I hit that record button, I tell my guests, let's go change one person's life.
Yeah.
And I
yeah,
truly
dude.
believe that every podcast has done that.
Yeah.
Look at Eddie Penny. It's you and I talking. How many other people have been affected? He literally changed my life. I don't know where I'd be. I may still be going through the same things that I've been going through. Who knows? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that man changed my life. I know I will meet him. I know he's going to be on my podcast someday. Hopefully he's ready for a 235-pound dude to be crying on him, because I'm going to be a mess when I meet him, but it's going to happen.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. It's about us helping each other out. And, you said this earlier. I had a guest on somebody. I need to connect you guys. His name is Jason Tyler McLean, and he wrote a book called One Drop of Water. And it was the first book I read when I started my sobriety journey. Man, I had him on the podcast last Wednesday. We were just talking about how we met. We've known each other for about 4 years. And dude, I fell apart. I fell apart on the episode. Didn't see it coming. It came out of nowhere. And we were talking earlier about crying and being vulnerable. And that was the first time I've ever really just let go on a podcast. And I just started thinking, oh, dude, like I cannot believe I just did that. But it was good. It just shows how powerful these connections are and what his book has done in my life. And he's a super cool guy. I'm gonna connect you guys.
They're great.
Maybe you can get him on your show. He's awesome. He's up in Winnipeg. He's in Winnipeg, Canada. But he's got a couple books, but yeah, super good guy. But he's another example of just having the courage to share a story that might impact, someone else's life that you may otherwise never meet, in person anyways.
Exactly. And you get emotional, probably change someone's life,
Yeah.
If you did it,
yeah.
he may have done the same thing, just got permission to do it subconsciously and did it himself. I mean, it's so powerful when you see someone do that. I had Zach Ferguson, a former SEAL, on for an episode, and during the course of which he and I both cried different points, and we get done recording. I'm like, "Yo, that's beautiful, bro." Someone's going to see a Navy SEAL crying and say it's okay for him to do so. You just changed someone's life. Like, things like that need to be changed, need to be done more, I should say. And, that will change men's minds about what is strength.
Yeah, 100%, man. Break that mold and that, like Nick O'Kelly says, break the stigma. Solid dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, solid dude.
Yeah,
I love
really
him, man.
Great guy.
He's awesome. I'm
super nice guy.
Hopefully I'm going to be able to meet up with him in person. He's maybe coming to Nashville soon to do another podcast. We're going to try to link up.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to meet him. Yeah. But Mike, if there's a man out there right now that's on the edge of giving up, what would you say to him?
Number one, I'd say whatever you're going through is temporary. Number two, truly sit there and think about what your death is going to do to those around you. If you have a wife and children, especially, those people are going to hold that for the rest of their lives. Your children are probably going to blame themselves for you killing yourself. Do not do it. There is help out there. Raise your hand. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, and I promise you can heal. There is nothing different about any of us. Myself, you watching, Steve, all these people that we've mentioned, every single one of them have been through horrendous journeys, but they all came out the other side. Just life is beautiful. It's going to throw you some fucked up shit sometimes, but you need to get through it, process it. Think about it, man. You got through everything in your life. You're here today at this point. You could get through whatever the hell else it is, and I don't mean to sound like it's a piece of cake, because sometimes it's going to be hard, some of the most visceral pain you've ever felt. But once you heal from it, you'll be able to conquer anything. So just never give up, man. One foot in front of the other. That's it.
Awesome. Great advice. Where can our viewers find your podcast and your social media? Can you give us the kind of where to find you?
Yeah. So Insta, you can get me at the Resilient Warrior 5778. Podcast is on YouTube. I have to put it on audio onlys. Right now it's just on YouTube. It is the Resilient Warrior Nation. And the book is going to be also called The Resilient Warrior. That's probably going to hopefully be out by the end of the year. and just finished the manuscript literally last night. And then anyone, I will speak anywhere. So, if you guys are in the South Florida area, you have something small you'd like me to speak it, I would speak in front of 3 people. I don't care. You have bigger platforms. I would love to spread the message, guys. So if you think I'm worthy, would love to talk to anyone.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
for all of you listening right now and watching this episode, if this episode spoke to you, please share this with somebody, because there's so many people out there that are just looking for an answer. They're looking for purpose, and they're looking for just hope. And please share this episode so they can learn about Mike, learn about me, and realize there are other men out there that share the same struggles, that have been through some of the same life experiences. And Mike, you nailed it earlier. These guys that have these huge platforms online that have done so much for their country, they have struggles. They've been through trials. They've been through tribulation. So guys, we all have issues. So have the courage to share this with somebody. You don't even have to say the words. Just text it to them. Just copy the link and send it to them. It's on YouTube and it's going to be on Spotify. And I would just encourage you to, you might make someone's day by sending it to them and inspiring them to take that first step in their mental health journey.
Well said.
All right, man. I'm gonna pray us out. You down for that?
All right, brother. Yeah,
all
let's
right, man.
do it.
Here we go. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for Mike. Thank you for just his story tonight, Lord, and his testimony. We pray that this podcast will reach men that are hurting, also reach women that are out there that may have similar issues and be hurting. We pray that this will inspire folks just to focus on their mental health, Lord, and just ultimately know that Jesus, you are the King of Kings, that you are the Son of God, and that you are peace. We pray that you will inspire other people, that you will fill them with hope, with love. And I pray that other men and women will heal from this episode, and that will encourage people to have the fortitude to stand up and to ask for help and to inspire others in their life by taking that step to change and make life better for themselves. Lord, thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your wisdom, and thank you for your strength. It's in your mighty name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much for tuning in to the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. Be sure to hit that bell, like and subscribe to the channel. Drop new episodes every week. Mike, man, I love this episode. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, brother.
Steve, thank you so much for having me. Had a great time, brother.
Yeah, man, you're a hell of a guy, dude. I really respect you and I appreciate you.
Right back at you.